Hey everyone, this is Deb Fair with Four Seasons Crafts. So I want to show you a card today that I'm going to make using some of the supplies out of the September through December mini catalog. So let me turn to what supplies I'm going to be using and then we'll get started. So I'm going to use this snowy scenes. I'm going to use some of the stamped images and dies from this particular stamp set. And that is on page 32, 33. And then I'm going to use some of the paper from the reindeer days. And I'm just going to use a little piece of it because the card I'm going to show you is a card I am making for 48 people. So I'm participating in a swap this month. And there are 48 people I'm going to be swapping with. So how it works is you make 23 cards, and then the other rest of the cards, the 25, I guess it would be, you make packets, which would kind of be like this. So it's all the supplies the person needs to make the card, and then they actually make it themselves. So it's very fun. It's a great thing to do, and it gives me lots of samples that I'm going to turn around and hopefully share with you. So I want to show you the process. There is a couple techniques in this card that I want to share with you. So it should be a fun time. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing you're going to need is a piece of 8.5 by 5.5 piece of Granny Apple Green, and it's scored at 4.25. And I'm just showing you one of the cards, just so you know. Then you're going to need another piece of green that is 3 7/8 by 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. Okay, that we're going to need that piece. Then we're going to have a piece of 5.25 by 4 inches, and we have two of those, one for the front and one for the inside. Then you're going to have a piece that's 7/8 by 2.5, and you're going to have a couple different layers. You're going to have a layer of early espresso that is 3 7/8 by 2 7/8. And then you're going to have a piece that is 3 3/4 by 2 3/4. Then you're going to have a piece that's 2.5 by 2.5. And then this is just a piece of scrap white that we're going to use for some stamping. Okay, so those are all the pieces that we need. And it sounds like a lot, but honestly, it's not very many at all. I know it looks like a lot, but it's super easy card, not super easy, but it's pretty straightforward. Let me put it that way, because I don't want to make it sound like it's super simple. And then you guys are like, this isn't simple at all, Debbie. All right, so what we're going to start with is our stamping. Let's do that first, and then we'll work with our assembly. So the two pieces we're going to need are the basic white, that is our scrap, and then the piece that's 7/8 by 2.5. And the two colors of ink we're going to be using is Early Espresso and Shaded Spruce. So I'm going to use Early Espresso for these two items that we're going to be stamping here. And what we're going to start out with, totally wrong stamps that I grabbed there. Reindeer Days. Guys, there's so many adorable stamp sets. So these are all the dies, by the way. So this one I've used, they're like snow globes. And then you have a die for so many of the images in this stamp set. So we're going to be using the house here. So I'm going to put that off to the side, and we will stamp the house first, and then we are going to be stamping our greeting. So let me just set that off to the side, and we'll bring in our clear block here, and we're just going to pop our house on there. Bring over our piece of basic white. And by the way, if you ever want to know if you get a good stamp, one of the nice things about the clear is if you kind of hold it up, you'll see if all the spots are filled in there. But you just tap it a couple times and then you can press on your piece of white. And I would hold it just for a second or two, and that way you can get that nice crisp image there. I used to put it down and pick it right back up, thinking, you know, I didn't want it to bleed, and I ended up picking it up too quickly. So you just have to give it a second to transfer onto your paper. All right, so now we're going to take our greeting here. So we'll put our house back, but you guys can see there are so many adorable images in here, which sidebar, see these right here? I used the stamp to make gumdrops, and I used the dies to make candy corn. So I have to show you those. I did not bring them for this video, but I will see if I do a break here, I will go ahead and grab it and splice it in, because it's a pretty cool, it is a pretty cool looking way to make candy corn. And if you're kind of looking for that versatile stamp set, I just think this one has it all, because it has snowflakes, it has the house, it has trees. There's just so many things here that you can use to make a variety of different cards. And it gives you that option to make different colors. Okay, so now I'm going to center over this piece of white cardstock, this part that's just 7/8, and I'm going to stamp my greeting. And there you go. So yay, we got those two things. So we are done as far as stamping. Well, I shouldn't say that. We have one more image to stamp. So let's go ahead and clean this. And then we're going to go ahead and stamp while we're doing this now. Let's go ahead and we are going to bring in a tree. So we have here our stamps, and we have a couple different trees. I'm using this one here, right here, because I think it looks a lot like the trees a little bit in the paper. So I thought I'm going to use this one. So we're just going to bring in a piece of our cardstock for the inside of our card. And we're going to put that on our block, and we're going to grab some shaded spruce. By the way, sometimes when you first use a photopolymer stamp, there's little holes in there that sometimes have to get filled, which is why if you first use a red ink, it kind of dyes it. So a lot of times if you use a very light colored ink first, it will fill in those holes and cause less staining of your stamp. But if you ever want to make sure you get a good image first, just just ink it up, and then you can always stamp on your scrap paper. But I think we have a good image here, and I'm just going to stamp this right in the corner of my piece of cardstock there. And that is it. That's all I'm doing on the inside of the card. So we should be done stamping. And now we're going to do just a couple other things, and we're going to start assembling our card. Okay, let me do this. Let's do this first, sorry. So we're going to bring in our die cutting machine, because we have our greeting, but we need to die cut out our little house here. So I have the die cutting machine right over here. So we will do all the things that we need to do with our die cutting machine. And this is, I'll just put it in kind of halfway here. So what we're going to need is our plate number 1, plate number 2, and then we're going to need, my hair is shedding like crazy. Okay, then we're going to need our one of our plates, and we are just going to lay this right here on our piece of cardstock here. Just put that frame right over top, and then we're going to take our top plate number 3. And we're just gonna slide that right in and put it right down. And we're gonna wanna make sure it doesn't move. Now, typically I would have some tape, but I did not bring that over here. So I'm gonna hold on to this. We're gonna shake a little bit here and just pull that right over. There we go. And then we will take this out and pop out our nice clean house. And this is, you know, this is one I've already done about 24 of these, and I will tell you, it lines up really well. You know, some dies you have, and they don't sometimes always line up as nicely or as easily. This one is nice. It really does line up super well. Okay, while we have this out, there's another piece that we are going to be using or lining up. So we are going to be using this big plaid folder, and by big, it's 6 by 9. So it is huge. And the reason I think that they've gone, because this is about the 3rd one I've received that's really large. If you guys can, if I can even get it all in there in the window there, it just kind of gives you an idea of how large it is. So here's my piece of cardstock, and I'm going to slide this in here, and we are going to make it a pretty plaid. So I'm just going to put my cardstock in there, put my plate number 1, and then my plate number 4, and then I am just going to run this through. Oops, and you know what I did? Okay, so before I get this going, so one of the things I just noticed I did incorrectly is make sure that your seam side is always at the top. Otherwise, it can cause your folder to break, and you certainly don't want that. It'll crack at the top is what happens. So, of course, we don't want that to occur. All right, so we have done our stamping. We are done using our embossing folder. Let me show you what this looks like. So here we go. So let's get this out of our way. And this is our nice piece of embossed cardstock. Isn't it pretty? So this side is raised. You could also turn it over and use the flat side if you prefer. So there we go. So we have our stamped images, we have our plaid. Now let's go ahead and do a little assembling here. And we have a couple other techniques that we're gonna do. All right, so the first things first, we're gonna go ahead and use our bone folder and crease our card base. All right, then we're going to go ahead and layer our piece of basic white right on the front of our card. So this is going to be our first layer of our card. Oops. So we'll go ahead and put this on. And line that up so it's even all the way around. Okay, and we're just going to set that off to the side. Now we're going to move over here to our other layers. Now, anytime you're doing multiple layers, I really encourage you to first use the first layer that you are going to be applying cardstock or maybe stamping, and do that before you adhere it to anything else. And the reason being is if for some reason you make a mistake or you mess up, you're not going to throw everything away. You're going to maybe have to flip it over or use a different side. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to attach these two pieces to this piece of cardstock evenly. So what I'm doing is I kind of lay them out first to make sure I know how much room I have across everything. So if I look at this, I'm like, okay, this looks even all the way around. So I'm just going to go ahead and adhere my greeting. And this is all just glued right down. I opened up a fresh bottle of Tombow. So if you guys ever watch me, I have a nice little Tombow holder that my friend Nikki gave me, which I absolutely love. But I use some of these bottles until there's like nothing left in them. And they have a tendency to dry at the tip. So it's rare that I'm ever doing a video and I have a brand new bottle, but today was the day. All right, so here we go. We are going to go ahead and make sure that we get that nice and centered on all sides. And I'm just going to hold it up. So there you guys go, if you can see it. Nice and even there. All right, perfect. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and attach this to the piece of early espresso. So this is shaded spruce, and I'm going to go ahead and put it on this piece of early espresso, and I'm just going to center that as well. And this is also going to be on just using regular Tombow glue to adhere it. So there we go. Make sure I get that right. Beautiful. All right, so there we go. That's our layers there. Oops, I got a little bit of hairy cardstock there. There we go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some linen thread from, this is from the annual catalog. By the way, if you guys don't, linen thread is much of a tighter weave. It's much more straight. Baker's twine is thicker, and it's more like a, this is more stiff. See how it automatically curls? Where Baker's twine would just be kind of limp. It doesn't have any kind of real, it's like yarn almost, but a little more sturdy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and just take it a couple times around here, and then I'm going to tie a bow. So I'm just going to make a knot here around, and I'm going to want to kind of taut it just a little bit so that it I get a nice good you know, stiff bow there. And then just loop it around. And if you do ever see how it's kind of loose right there? So I'm just going to show you a little trick if that ever happens to you. Let me grab a pair of scissors here. Scissors. Not scissors. All right. So if you ever have this happen where you get that little loose piece, if you just turn it over and add a little bit of adhesive here, I can pull that up and stick it to the piece of adhesive just like that. And that way it's nice and kind of taut on the front. Okay, so it's just a little quick fix. The other thing you can do is just wrap it around. Don't tie the bow, and then add the bow with a glue dot. And that works really well as this one here. Okay, so there we go. So we have our linen thread on there. Now we're going to take the house that we cut out, and we're going to put this up on some dimensionals. These are a must-have in anyone's craft room, whether you're a scrapbooker or a card maker. They are wonderful. You know, they're great too if you guys have kids and they do poster projects. You should keep some of these on hand because they are wonderful. Now I'm going to put this house kind of just right here. You can, you'll see on the other one, I had it floating a little bit more. This one I'm going to put a little closer to the bottom, but I'm just going to attach that right there. Now, before I can adhere this to my card, I need to do some work with this piece that I embossed. So what we're going to do first is we are going to you can take a nail file. I also have this block, sanding block that we actually use for painting. And what you're going to do is you're just going to rub that across all the edges. And this is going to give it a little bit of a rough, kind of a rough edge. And again, a nail file works great. They have those smaller blocks. I used to have one like for your nails or your, you know, kind of your feet. But honestly, I think I threw it away. So I thought, you know what, this will work. I'm just going to, again, take it across the edges, and it just makes it a little bit rough. And I can kind of, because what I'm looking for is a little bit of that weathered, but I don't want to tear it necessarily. Although you could, you know, kind of like tear parts of it if you wanted to while you're doing this. But I'm just going to go around it, you know, a couple, 3 times or whatever. And it kind of breaks it down a little bit too. So it kind of leaves it a little bit more, yeah, it just kind of breaks down those fibers, I think is all I'm trying to say. Okay. So I think that looks pretty good. So, and this is the front of my card. So I might just do a little bit more. All right, there we go. So again, you just get a little bit more of that weathered look, and then it kind of gives it a little bit more of a flexibility there on the edges. All right, it does leave, personally, if you do this, I would do it over a trash can. It's not that big of a deal. It doesn't create that big of a mess, but might be a little bit easier. All right, now what we're gonna do with the same piece, so again, you could keep going over and over that and getting a nice, even more of a roughed edge look, but this is going to give us, I think, what I'm after. Then I'm going to bring back in the garden green, and I'm going to grab one of the sponge daubers. You could use a brush, you could use a sponge, whatever. This I feel like I have just a little bit more control over. But all I'm going to do is take my paper, this side up is the one that I'm going to have on the front of my card, and I am just going to literally take this and go along the edges. Now, again, up to you if you want to do this. So I'm going to do it for the cards that I make, and then the cards that obviously people, this is totally, you know, optional, but it adds just, I don't know, a little more, doesn't make it so stark. And since we're kind of doing a little bit of a nature theme, I thought it would look better. So you guys are going to have to tell me if you like the shaded spruce, or if you would have used early espresso. I tried it with early espresso first, so I'm going to tell you this. And if I can find another piece like this that maybe I want to do early espresso on, I did it on just the opposite side. But the way it looked dirty. The early espresso on the garden green, I don't know. I won't use any certain terms, but it looked like, it just didn't look good at all. All right, we'll just leave it at that. Okay. We'll leave it there and move on. All right, so here we go. So now we're going to place this on our card, and we are going to just use some Tombow glue here. Now, I am not going all the way to the edges, and I'll tell you why. I kind of want them to stick up a little bit. I don't want it to be right. I don't want to glue down those rougher edges of my card. I kind of want them to stick up just a little bit, like right here. And so I'm taking my fingers and just kind of pulling them up, or, you know, making them a little bit more rough on the, oops, sorry about that, a little bit more rough on the edges. Can you guys see that? Adds a little bit more dimension, I think, to it. Now we're going to bring in our piece we just had here, and we are going to put this up on some dimensionals, and that will be the end of our card. Well, we got to put the piece on the inside too. We'll do that. So I'm just going to put one on each corner and then one in the middle. always better to put one in the middle because that will keep it from like kind of sagging, especially if you're mailing your card. All right, and now I'm going to put this right in the center there. The one thing I like, let me just put this up there. I think that looks, oops, oopsie. All right, let me just make sure, yep. All right. Kind of when you have that plaid in the background, it makes it much easier, but there, look at that. Do you like it? You guys will have to tell me if you like this, this layout here. Okay, so we will, I'm gonna go ahead. I am gonna be doing a card class using this step, using this set in October. So in September here, I'm going to be sharing some videos with you here in a couple days for using the Mediterranean, which is the oranges and lemons. It's absolutely beautiful. I love the set, and we're going to have some videos coming up this week on those cards. And then we have a whole fall series. So so this week, you're going to see some cards on the Mediterranean. You're going to see the card class for that. And then we're going to start a 5-day new catalog kickoff on Thursday. So starting on Thursday, we're going to do it Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. We are going to do a new catalog kickoff. And we're going to do different videos each day of the stamp sets that are in there. So it's going to be, I think, awesome. Hopefully you'll get a lot of great ideas, learn some new techniques. I think you'll have a lot of fun with it. And then I am also, and I will post a link to this as well, I'm going to be doing a mystery stamping event. It's going to be September 17th, which is a Tuesday night. I'm going to be doing that actually with my team, as well as a card club, card swap group that I run. And I would like to invite all of you. I will put a link to that as well down in the description of this video for the group so that you can join it and put the day as well. That's going to be posted and coming out. So that's going to be fun. If you're a demonstrator, it's something you can share with your customers. And I think it's just a great thing to get together and do. That's all. It's just something fun way to use your supplies. You don't have to use a specific stamp set. It's just a kind of a fun way to make a new card, I think. Always love it. All right, so there you go, guys. This was my first one that I did as well. So you'll see, depending on the paper you use. Oh, I forgot. As I look at those, I see here I added some of these white loose snowflakes to this one. Let me show you here if you can see them. Oh, and the other thing I forgot is we need to color our house. Wow, so many things I forgot. Let's color our house. So I just used a light daffodil delight and then any kind of light tan that you have. This is soft suede, which I don't even know if that's a color anymore. I would use light pecan pie or crumb cake. Any of those would work. But this one I used for the door, and I used the bullet end, which is that smaller end. And we are just going to go and color the door like this. So nothing too difficult there. I did do just a little more around like one side just to give it a little bit maybe of shadowing, but normally you need the two colors for the shadowing. But the nice thing about the Stampin' Blends versus a Stampin' Write marker, now when you're coloring really small, you probably can't see, but Stampin' Blends dry without lines. Stampin' Write markers, that's going to make the streaks. And that's the difference, because for the longest time, I didn't know what the difference was. Here is the Daffodil Delight, the light color. And what I want it to do is to look like there's light shining inside. So what I did was I just, and this is very gently because you don't want it dark. I colored in the first window, half of the second one and half of the bottom one. So kind of at a diagonal, but not just so straight that it looks made up. And then up here, I just covered kind of one little quarter. So there you go. Can you guys, hopefully you can see that. So just it makes it look so much prettier and just finished rather than just the white, the plain white house. So I'm glad I showed you that. Oh my word, I would have forgotten. Now we're going to take our little snowflakes here and we're going to put some of these on. Now probably the best way to do this is take your pick tool here, and I am just going to take one out like this. I'm going to take my glue, and I have those needle nose glues as well, which I have not filled. And I'm just going to put a dot of glue right there and then just turn it over and put it where I want it to go. And then I'm going to grab two of the smaller ones. Oops. So if I get them out here, actually, that might be better. I can get a little bit more. And this is just going to be kind of the residual glue here that I have on my bottle. And the other thing you could do is maybe put a dot of glue on a block would be another way to do that. And I am just going to put two of these on, two of these smaller ones somewhere up at the top. So again, you just get one out, put it on your take your pick tool, and then take just a little bit of that glue that you already have on the tip of your bottle there. Let me see if I can get a little more to come out. There we go. And I'm just going to tap it kind of on that snowflake. And then we will put it right about there. Oops, I think I got enough on there. Yep, I did. There we go. And there you have it. Cute, 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 cute. All right, so when those dry, then that'll be ready to mail out. So there you go. So you guys, these would be perfect to send to someone for Thanksgiving at the beginning of the season. I think these are beautiful. Or if you know someone who likes to hunt deer, I think that would be great. That's a huge thing here in Michigan. Or you could leave it for, of course, Christmas. That is also good. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Again, please leave a comment below if you would like a catalog. Also leave a comment below if you, there was another thing. I forgot. Oh my. So be sure to join, if you are not part of my Facebook group and you're seeing this on YouTube, be sure to go over to 4 Seasons Crafts page, and it's the number 4 Seasons Crafts, and join. Go ahead and like and follow the page if you would. I would so appreciate that. And then also, I have a private group called 4 Seasons Crafts Creative Cottage, and that's right now where I'm doing my lives from that private group. I do copy them out to my page, but sometimes it seems like I'm not always able to. So be sure to join that group as well. And then I will have a link below for you to join the mystery stamping on September 17th. All right. Thanks, you guys. Take care. Bye.